Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, welcome back. Now, look, there's been just so much furore this week about Princess Catherine and that photo. Look, we know she's taking time to recover from her surgery. No doubt this has just been some extra stress. Do we know when she's likely to return to royal duties?
So when the Princess of Wales announced that she was taking some time off to recover from abdominal surgery back in January, I believe it was January on the 16th, she said that according to medical advice, she would likely only be back in her royal duties after Easter, and I suspect that still remains to be the case. Now, this story has completely blown up for reasons that remain unknown to me. This is just a woman that did some editing on a picture, and suddenly the world has lost its mind, it seems. But there is a lesson here, and the lesson to be learned here is the fact that the royals and the royal PR machine is extremely fragile, and they're always kind of walking this tightrope of being accessible but not too accessible to the public. I mentioned before, I think Kate felt the need to release that picture because of these rumors that were circulating about where she really is she actually recovering from surgery. A group of people online were using this as a way to speculate that she had a BBL and that she was going to come out looking like a Kardashian. Some people used this to link to the fact that no one ever landed on the moon. I mean, it was just ludicrous. But at the end of the day, the royal family have to be very careful about not making themselves too accessible to the public, or they might risk going down the route of Harry and Meghan, who have effectively lost a lot of their public appeal because they just reveal too much, they talk too much. The royal family, at the end of the day, whether you're a monarchist or not, has a public role to play. They're effectively professional ambassadors. And to that end, they obviously have to have a public profile, but they have to stay on task. They're a media machine, just by their very existence. And so anything that's linked to them, any sort of controversy or anything that can be newsworthy is likely to blow up. And unfortunately, Kate had to experience this while she's recovering from surgery. And I actually wish she didn't feel the need or the pressure to release some sort of photo to effectively calm down the public, which arguably had the opposite effect.
And I'm not sure that pressure has necessarily subsided, because there's been a couple of snippets in the media over the last couple of days about a pending royal announcement or an update. Is this just speculation, or is there actually something in the pipeline?
So every year, the Waleses release a picture for their children's birthday. So it's a kind of a tradition that they've cultivated within their family. And Prince Louis's birthday is coming up. We're expected to see a sort of family picture within that same tradition. Again, this could be kind of a redo for the Waleses after the controversy of their Mother's Day photo. Who knows? But we're hearing that Princess Catherine could be actually more open about her medical intervention in the coming days, alongside this picture that we expect to be released. So, the Waleses are going to be a lot more careful about what the kind of information they release to the public. Again, this is clearly a blunder on their side, because they've been in the royal family as working royals for a number of years now. They're highly experienced. They know how quickly the media storm can generate. So this seemed quite uncharacteristic of them. But again, you can forgive them for the innocent mistake of trying their hands at Adobe Photoshop.
And there was an interesting piece in the Times today about the palace having learned some harsh lessons over the last couple of weeks, which I think they absolutely might, and how they might address them going forward. You'd think some sort of protocol would have to be put in place to avoid this happening again.
Of course, but this is, again, uncharted territory. It's not every day that a relatively healthy woman in her early 40s undergoes abdominal surgery. Now, obviously, her father-in-law, King Charles, was very open about his cancer diagnosis and his prostate surgery, and many charities and many groups across the UK and across the world, congratulated him for that, because it really drew awareness to a very common issue that many elderly men face. And in contrast, unfortunately, this happened at the same time. In contrast, you had Princess Catherine, who's perfectly entitled to not reveal details of her medical diagnosis, but she did reveal that she had abdominal surgery and was going to be effectively MIA for 2.5, 3 months. And unfortunately, I think that broke the public in a way that no one ever anticipated. The palace is going to be more careful moving forward. I think again the issue here is straddling that fine line between making yourself available to the public but not too available. And unfortunately, the closest example you can draw to that are the Sussexes, the faux royals across the pond. I mean, they kind of went for the American style. Let's reveal everything. Let's talk about our feelings, and they didn't really endear themselves to the public because, in as much as they saw their grievances as valid, most people just saw the sheen wear off. You had just a couple of really rich, wealthy, literally a prince and princess whinging about their lot in life, and many people couldn't identify with that. They were talking about things that were clearly close to their hearts, like climate change, but then were taking a private jet every chance that they got. And so, in many ways, the Waleses have had to learn from the Sussexes' blunders, and there are many of them, and not go down the same route. Now, do you completely shut yourself off? No, because once you open Pandora's box and you make yourself available to the public to a certain extent, you have to maintain it. And so the Waleses have had to really kind of figure out what is the best way to do that. And unfortunately, this is one instance where it didn't go too well for them.
Now, the annual Diana Legacy Awards ceremony was held this week. It's the great separated but double act by William and Harry. How did it play out?
So in a move that surprised absolutely no one, the brothers were completely separate. I mean, Prince William left even before Harry's virtual appearance at the award ceremony. I mean, I know a winner of the awards that actually had met Prince William in person and then had to go across London to have a virtual call with Prince Harry. Clearly, the rift between the two brothers have calcified. It's been rumored that they haven't spoken in over a year since the publication of Harry's book Spare. We know that in that book there were many scathing allegations against basically Prince William and his wife, Princess Catherine, which I'm sure Prince William didn't take lightly at all. And the really sad irony here is this is not what Princess Diana would have wanted her legacy to be. She wouldn't have wanted her two sons to effectively not speak to each other. But it just goes to show, how deep the rift goes. I suspect when William becomes king, I don't think that there's only going to be any kind of rapprochement on the part of the brothers. I suspect he might even remove the titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and you kind of make the excuse that if you're not a working member of the royal family, you don't get a title. He might actually strip Prince Andrew of his titles as well, which would be his right to do so. But it's really unfortunate because if you're having a ceremony to celebrate your late mother's legacy and you two are nowhere, to be seen with each other. I mean, Prince Harry not turning up for that award is also quite peculiar because he's come to the UK for what you could argue are less important matters. I mean, he's only popped in and out for his court cases or to see his father momentarily before he went to Las Vegas to present an award at a very tawdry award show that I think was really quite beneath him. But the fact that he didn't even turn up, and clearly the two parties teams didn't really communicate in any way that would signal that the two are back on speaking terms, let alone good terms, is really quite sad.
And I think it takes away from the purpose and I suppose the legacy of Princess Diana herself. I think it's ultimately very unfortunate. Now, we've often talked on this show about polls and the popularity of various members of the royal family. We haven't had one of those in a while, despite everything that's been going on. But what does the latest show?
So a latest poll that was commissioned by the Express, a newspaper here in the UK, showed that Harry and Meghan are the fourth most popular couple, well, royal couple, after Prince William and Princess Catherine, the King and Queen, and the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. So it's I mean, they were only above, I suspect, Prince Andrew and his no longer wife, which wouldn't make them a couple, but effectively they're the least popular couple, royal couple here in the UK, and that's not surprising. I've always said that this couple didn't really stay as working royals long enough to have any skin in the game. A lot of their grievances, as they put it, seemed a bit trivial because it felt like they kind of just had a go at it, tried it, didn't like it, didn't feel like they were given everything that they wanted, didn't really stick around to actually try and make it work long enough. I suspect the pressures on the couple to have children as soon as possible, because obviously they were getting on in years, also added an extra dimension that made their difficulties with adjusting to their role in the royal family quite difficult. I often say that Harry was quite irresponsible in the way that he tried to shoehorn Meghan and their marriage into the institution. I think they should have stepped back, had children, figured out their family life before they kind of delved into the complicated circus that is being working royals, and actually taking it seriously, and knowing that it's not something that you can just, dip in and out of. But in effect, they've really not endeared themselves to the public, and you can see that in the way that they've struggled to adjust afterwards. I mean, they left on the kind of their freedom flight, as we saw in the Netflix documentary, and ever since then they've really struggled to find their feet. I mean, Harry released Spare. It looked like a good 2 years after they left the royal family, all they did was complain about the royal family. And then when they did try and do something for themselves, it fell through. Their Spotify deal got cancelled unceremoniously. Meghan has launched this new lifestyle brand, which is like Tig 2.0, but she's still using the Duchess of Sussex title, which again, for a lot of people, looks like a form of opportunism, because she wants nothing to do with the royal family, but is still happy to tout her title, which I think should be stripped. Prince Harry is, other than the Invictus Games, he really seems to be quite listless and drifting in the wind. And it's probably a lesson about sticking to something even when it's difficult, and not always having your way. But effectively, the public are not very happy with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. I don't think they care about them very much, but I don't think they're anything to write home about. And like I said, the sheen has worn off, and clearly that is reflected in these poll results.
And look, while we focused on numerous litigation proceedings involving Princess Harry that he's been engaged in, there's been in the background this defamation action which was commenced by Samantha Markle against her sister Meghan. Now, that action has been dismissed. What's happened here?
Yeah, so the significant aspect of this case being dismissed is that it's been dismissed with prejudice, which means that she cannot retry it. The judge found that Meghan Markle's claims were of an honest opinion and didn't libel Samantha Markle in any significant way. At the end of the day, she did use a different surname up until 2 months before Meghan announced that she was dating Prince Harry, and then she changed her name to Markle. So, in the judge's eyes, it was a genuine opinion. Why would you go by a different name, and then once I'm dating this man, and my own name has suddenly skyrocketed in terms of commercial value, you're now choosing to adopt my surname, even though as Meghan states that they weren't close at all. So I'm not surprised that the judge threw this case out. But the wider conversation about Meghan Markle and her family relations is always going to remain an interesting one, because many people use that as a way to justify why it was so easy for her and Prince Harry to walk away from the royal family, because she doesn't seem to have any kind of family loyalties outside of her mother. I mean, the only person that attended her wedding was her mother, not even her cousin. She had all these A-list celebrities that I'm sure up until the royal wedding really weren't interested in Meghan Markle at all. She had, George Clooney and his wife and Oprah and all of these, Serena Williams and all of these people. And you just think, how do you know Meghan Markle? How is this sort of person that's only known from one series suddenly been mingling with all these A-list stars? So the wider conversation about her family relations still a bit of a mystery to the public. Everyone remembers that lawsuit and that letter that she wrote to tug at the heartstrings, that she forgot that she wrote and leaked to the press, and all of that drama. So in terms of Meghan's entire sort of family setup, we will never know, but it looks quite complicated and too complicated to get into. But I'm not surprised that the judge threw out this case, because it is a valid point. She didn't use the last name Markle up until 2 months. 2 months until Meghan announced that she was dating Harry.
Now, another week and another celebrity connection to the Sussexes. This time, Harry is spotted hanging out with Kris Jenner's boyfriend. Are they just friends, or is there some sort of commercial relationship here?
I highly doubt there is a commercial relationship there, unless Prince Harry wants to disgrace himself even further. They were seen skiing together in Aspen, in Colorado, alongside the founder of Bumble and a few other kind of, I would say, B2Z list celebrities. I don't think it's anything to write home about. Again, a lot of this, and from a lot of the kind of images that we're getting from Harry's jet-setting lifestyle, he just seems quite listless. He seems quite lost in the wind. I mean, this is someone who grew up in the royal family, who then joined the army, and I think he should have stayed in the army. You would think that the life in Britain, in the royal family, in the kind of service that he was allowed to do in his role, would have meant a lot more to him. I don't think it's particularly satisfying to be seen with Kris Jenner's now partner, a family that are known for prostituting themselves and for having ludicrously proportioned backsides. I don't think that's exactly where he thought his life would go, but this is where he's led himself.
Esther Krakue, thank you for those insights as always.